Let's say that you're in your first mod session and you've noticed that you have a couple kids that have come in, and both the kids have their hands raised, which indicates to you that they are ready for help. That means that they've already filled out the survey and they're saying, "All right, I have a question. Please help me." So, what do? Well, the first thing that you want to do is you want to double check to make sure they filled out the survey, because a lot of times kids will come in and just raise their hand because that's what they're used to with their normal classes. So let's go ahead and take a look at our survey here. And if I look at my survey, there we go. We've got P1 and P2, which if I go back and look, what do you know? Participant 1, participant 2. Clever, I know. All right, so they've got their survey filled out. They're ready to go. So now you need to get them down to your room. Well, there's a couple ways that you can do it. The first way is just by a drag and drop. So let's do that with participant 1. I'm just going to click on their name and I'm going to move them down to my first breakout room and then just let go of my mouse button and they're in. Now for participant 2, there's another way that I could do it, and that's just by simply right clicking on their name. When I do that, it gives me a few different options. I can give them some of the tools, I can lower their hand, send them a private chat, or I can send them to the breakout room, and that's really what I want to look at, and I just want to send them down to my next one. Now, another way that you can do that is if I look, when I put my mouse over that participant name, there's a bunch of different tool options that we have, but there's also this little list icon. If I click on that, these are the exact same functions that I get when I right click. So let's go down and let's send them to our next breakout room. There we go. All right, now both of our students are in their breakout room. Once they're in their breakout rooms, what you want to do is you want to pop in and give them some information. Just give them a little hello and give them what you expect them to do. Now, if you're working with a student, one thing that you could do is you could just send them a message in the chat box. And to pull up a message to that student, you just want to double click on their name and then type your message in and hit send. So we'll just do a quick little hi, and I'm going to send that to participant 1. All right, now let's actually pretend like this is a real session. So I'm going to pop in and give them some directions. So I'm going to go ahead and pop into participant 1. I'm now in their room, and I would say, "Hi participant 1, I hope you're having a wonderful day. What I need you to do for me is in a second, I'm going to give you your whiteboard tools, and I want you to fill out this top part of the screen for me with all of your information, including your course, your unit and lesson number, the page number and the problem number, or the topic that you're working on in Study Island. Once you've filled all that out for me, then go ahead and put a picture of your problem down below. You can use the screenshot tool or the snipping tool to go ahead and put your problem up. And then when you're ready, what I want you to do is to raise your hand for me. Or you can use the green check. And that's your preference as a teacher, however you want them to be able to get your attention to let you know that, hey, they have their problem ready and they want you to come back in and help. All right, so once you're done with that, it's always a good idea to lower their hand and then give them their tools. And again, just by putting my mouse over their name, I can click on these tools. So I'm going to go ahead and give participant 1 their whiteboard tools. And then I'm going to use the list function this time and give them their audio tools. So that way, if I want them to talk to me on the microphone, they now have the option to do so. All right, and then we do the same thing with participant 2. Give them a little bit of information, lower their hand so I know that they're not ready. And then this would be the time where you'd want to go and work on a problem with the other student that you already have. Or if you don't have anybody, it's a good idea for you to just pop into an empty room and wait for them to get ready. And this would be a good time to fill out your attendance spreadsheet with all of their information. Now, while they're in those rooms, what you can do is you can actually peek in on them to see if they have everything that they need to. Okay, and one way to do that is if I go up top here, these little 2 arrows, ones that are going, one's to the left and one's to the right, if I click on that, what it does is it puts this red box around my screen, and that lets me know that I now have the ability to look in on other rooms. So I'm going to go ahead to my drop down menu here, and I'm going to go look at participant 2 and just kind of peek and see what they're doing. And if I look, they've got their problem on the board already. All right, so now if we go ahead and take a peek at participant 1 here, Participant 1, same thing. Just going to go to their room. And look, they've got their problem all on the board now. All right, so that's a good function that you can use. Now, the other way that you can kind of peek on them is if we use this list function over here and we do the page explorer. If I open that up, what I can then do is just double click on wherever those students are. So this right here shows me what they're doing in, and this would be, what's this one? This is participant 2. So I could always pop in for participant 2. All right. Now, once they have their problem ready, let's say that you have participant 1 that says, all right, I'm good to go. I've got my hand up. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to move yourself to the room and start helping that student work through their problem. And again, you'd want to get on your mic, talk to them, and remember the whole idea behind working with the student is to get them to a point where they understand the problem so that they can do it on their own. So you want to ask a lot of questions, help to guide their thinking through each problem as you're going through it. Now, let's say that while you're working with participant 1 and you're in there, so I'm going to go ahead and lower their hand. Let's say that participant 2 raises their hand and says, oh, they're ready for help. Well, this is a great time to use that chat function. Just double click on their name and send them a little message that says, hey, I'll be there soon. So that way they know that you've noticed that they're ready for help and you're letting them know, hey, I'll be there in just a second. I'm working with another student. Now, when this happens, if you can get the first student, so let's say participant 1 here, if I can get participant 1 working on a problem, then I can pop into the other room and give them some direction. You kind of want to manage your time as best you can so that way the students aren't just sitting in there doing nothing forever. So maybe for participant 1, I'd just say, hey, okay, go ahead and take a look at these options here. Look at your problem. And why don't you go ahead and think about what you think the answer is and just circle it on the board for me. And when you've got that done, raise your hand and I'll pop back in here. So let's say I've given them that direction. I pop into room number 2. And again, I'm just moving myself by just dragging my name, but I could also use the list function and send myself to those rooms. Now, let's say that participant number 2 wants to talk to me, but if my mic is on, they can't talk. One of the things that you want to do is you want to make sure that your students are able to talk. So to do that, you'd go up to Tools, which unfortunately you can't see for this, but we go up to Tools, we go to Audio, and then we want to select Maximum Simultaneous Talkers. So if I click on that, then what we can do is we can maximize the amount of microphones that can be used at one time. Good idea to set it for 3 just in case you have a learning coach that's in there that's trying to help out too. So now we could both talk at the exact same time. And then for this, again, I could probably get them working on this and say, okay, you got 0 the first time. Do me a favor. Go ahead and show me over here what you did on this problem. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pop into this other room here and finish up with a student, and then I'll be right back. So that way you've got your students working, you're managing your time well by going back and forth between those rooms, and then you can work with those students in a good amount of time where they don't feel like they're being rushed or they're not getting any attention whatsoever. Now, once you've finished up with a student, it's always a good idea to provide them with some additional resources. And then you want to move them to that exit room that we showed you before. And remember, to do that, we just want to make sure that we don't have any tools for the student. So if I move participant 2 to the exit room, I want to make sure that I've taken all their tools away. You can see there's no check marks next to them. And then I can just go ahead and drag them and drop them into the exit room. And we'll do the same thing with participant 1. I'm going to take away their tools, and this time I'm going to use the list function to send them to the exit room. And that's it. You've successfully worked with your first few students. Make sure that every time that you do this, you copy down all the information that they've given you into your attendance spreadsheet, so that way you have it to look at later on. But that's how you run your breakout rooms, just as smoothly as possible, making sure that you're spending time with each student, and then just making sure that they know you're there, using that chat box to talk to them, and of course, working and interacting with them and helping them guide through the problems. Well, I hope this has made sense to you, and Good luck in your first breakout room.